Hey guys, welcome back to another Skyrim mods video. This one is for PC and console. I found some pretty game-changing mods, at least in my opinion. So for those on PC, don't forget to endorse the mod author if you end up finding a mod you like. And let's dive right in. The first mod up is the mod Gourmet, which just got massive updates on console, bringing all the changes previously only available on PC to console. With Gourmet, it takes useless food and cooking and turns it into a necessary part of your gameplay, and even adds new items for you to buy and use in those new ingredients. When you eat new items, it'll no longer just be a short-term buff, but now you can use those items before battle and prepare for any upcoming boss because these buffs can stack and it lasts quite a while. And if you use the optional file, you'll also get new cooking ovens and inns that didn't previously have them. But the main thing about this mod is that it didn't just change food, it also added new effects to alcohol. While these will provide a boost because they are alcohol, it will also provide your character a debuff. And the same goes for the new drug system added by Gourmet. Now your character can get addicted to skooma or sleeping tree sap, giving you a withdrawal debuff when you're no longer high on it, and the more you take, the higher your addiction becomes. And as I mentioned, the debuff will only show after the effects of the skooma wear off. And from my testing, the debuffs only debuff your regeneration for stamina and magicka. Other than that, it really doesn't affect your character until it becomes a severe addiction, then you don't regenerate at all. My character also went blind, but that's just a me issue. There's also special edition type alcohols that you can get from the Hunting Brew Meadery and the Blackbriar Meadery, allowing for you to boost the effects that the alcohol has on your character, but that also boosts the debuffs. But up next, a new vanilla friendly armor, those for the Thalmor armors by Ares. Of course, I don't know how to pronounce that name for the Thalmor armor. If you know, let me know down in the comments. But this mod adds 2 new armor types to Skyrim that is both unisex and features support for beast races. And based on the color of this armor, you can probably already tell, but the stats of this armor are around the ebony level. But this mod isn't that simple because there's 2 new weapon types also added, a short sword as well as a dagger for the armor. To get it, you have to either craft it with the ebony smithing perk, which makes sense considering its stats, or you can just go around killing Thalmor until you find one of them wearing it at a higher level. The new enemy type generally starts spawning around level 20, but based on your mod list that may change, so you might want to patch this for your mod list if you have a lot of mods like me. Based on the description for this mod, this is a faction of assassins for the Aldemary called Shadow Child. I always find it fun learning about more lore with Skyrim. Up next, a new combination of mods that I just learned about. This mod is called Snoz and Rhine's Bleak Falls Barrel Overhaul. Originally, Rhine and Snoz both had their own separate Bleak Falls Barrel Overhaul, with Snoz being the much more expansive because of the complete overhaul of Bleak Falls Barrel interior. But now with this mod, you can get the best of both by combining them and getting the changes for the exterior while keeping Snoz changes for the interior. Adding brand new clutter and also beds for the bandits to sleep on, of course, and new enemies to fill in those gaps for the massive and empty area. Of course, there aren't too many enemies added here, it's still manageable, but you will need a little more prep before you begin this fight. And just a quick note, these changes are only to Bleak Falls Barrel, essentially leaving the tower below it alone, except for adding a new small walkway just for immersion, I guess. But on console, I assume all you have to worry about is spending another 3 hours manually sorting your load order. 2800 plugins later and I still haven't did mine either. Up next, a new faith overhaul people have been afraid to try, but this mod is called Gods and Worship, and honestly, it's probably one of the best ones I've tried in 2024 to 2025. Adding more shrines around Skyrim and new deities for you to worship in a new roleplay, an immersive overhaul for Skyrim. Along with adding new shrines, it doesn't replace any of the vanilla ones, but they have been overhauled with the changes as well. Gods and Worship isn't just a simple religion gameplay mechanic, you gain a buff and done. Now this one is a complete overhaul like Winter Sun, but on steroids. Adding new encounters, new handwritten books filled with lore, and new gameplay mechanics to gain the favor of your god. Every deity will have things that they like and hate, and of course doing them will gain you or lose you favor, and over time you will reach new ranks of favor. You also lose favor by not worshipping them once a while, but that's pretty normal. There's also new robes and amulets for pretty much every god introduced by this mod, as well as the ones in vanilla Skyrim that previously didn't have one for some reason. And there's really no copy and paste provided with this mod. Every new deity and vanilla deity has their own unique colors with the robes, as well as its own unique amulet appearance. Of course, you don't have to wear these robes if you want to gain favor, it won't gain you anything extra. but it will help to tell NPCs who you favor. But one thing that I do want to point out is that a lot of things with this mod, because it is so expensive, it does have quite a few incompatibilities, such as the Mandragora Sprout Daedric Shrines. Because it has been incorporated into this mod, you don't need that mod if you use this, so you might free up a few spaces in your load order by using this. But the quickest way to gain favor, in my opinion, is the new meditate power that you gain as soon as you interact with the shrine, allowing you to meditate. And once you start meditating, you can meditate for any amount of hours. All you have to do is skip time, and then as soon as it ends, you'll gain a lot more favor with your current deity. But this mod also adds new random NPCs to your game, such as Safa the Red, which has her own voice lines. Apparently, based on the description, they are AI voice lines, but as of hearing them, they sound human voiced. Maybe AI has gotten that good. Another fun part of this mod is that you can now join temples. Every temple has their own requirements, with some kind of being easier to get into than others, but once you're in there, it's an easy way to gain favor with gods. Up next, another mod, maybe on the same scale of game changing, but this mod is called Easy Riders Dungeon Pack, adding dozens of new dungeons around Skyrim, more towards the borders so that it doesn't really affect any of the mods that you already have in your mod list. Every dungeon is handcrafted, and the enemies placed inside of the dungeons are also hand placed, and they aren't just scattered around everywhere. They're also picked to be lore friendly to the area, so you won't find a bear inside of a random Dwemer ruin. These dungeons can range from small mine shafts, kinda like Halted Stream Camp, to massive dungeons that will take you maybe over an hour to fully explore. I guess that probably depends on your stats though. And while this does have a patch for Lux, I highly recommend experiencing the mod author's intended lighting for these interiors, which can be a little dark. In total, this mod adds about 8 new dungeons and is fully compatible with other dungeon mods, such as Forgotten Dungeons or Hammett's Dungeon Pack. And each dungeon is vastly different from the other, maybe because all of them are spread apart far. Like I said, typically placed in areas no Overhaul touches, or even almost off the border of the map. But even with the dungeons being so big and vastly different, all of them are easy to navigate. You won't be getting lost in this interior and needing help to get out. It'll be pretty straightforward, just the amount of enemies inside of it might cause you to die a few more times than you expected. And generally, I would say to avoid mods at this age due to the vast changes and updates that Bethesda puts out. But with this mod, it's still being updated and fixed even now, even though the last update was in February. And it's great to see changes being ported to Xbox and PlayStation. But the enemies in here can be a bit high level, so be prepared. Up next, a pretty simple mod that I just found actually. This mod is called Usable Lanterns SE Tweak. With this mod, it replaces the useless lanterns placed around Skyrim to now you can pick them up, and once they're in your inventory, you can use them like a lantern. There's also an optional file that replaces the torches of guards with lanterns, but it is completely dynamic. It's not going to replace every guard's lantern, and there's also the issue of the lantern not having any physics, so it can clip onto them. Other than that, this mod works perfect. And with the separate mod, you can add physics to the lantern so it'll move when you move. This next overhaul though is because people generally ask me about this, but this mod is called Ordinary People NPCs Overhaul. This mod focuses mainly on the female characters in Skyrim, but it does include some male characters. But the main reason why you may want to use this mod over other mod overhauls is because of how many NPCs it overhauls all at once, while still being compatible with a lot of them, but also because it overhauls orcs. Most overhauls has orcs as a separate overhaul if they ever touch them at all. And this mod is still also being constantly updated and adding new NPCs to the list of changes. This mod, however, does not touch certain factions such as the Companions or Thieves Guild because the mod author has that as a separate mod, but for them I just kind of use other mods such as the Bella's Blessing or True Sons of Skyrim, but I let this mod generally overwrite those because I like the changes that this makes. Of course, this is my own personal taste, and because this doesn't touch every NPC, including the ones that are added by mods, it may stand out a bit that those NPCs still look vanilla while these are massively overhauled because this uses Charmers of the Reach. This next one though, I'm surprised just got over to console, but this mod is called Witcher Signs, adding the signs you would see Witchers like Geralt use to fight, such as Igning. All of them are separated into their own separate spell tomes, so you won't get the powers automatically, but instead have to learn them. Well, there is a mod that makes it replace vanilla spells, but that's not pretty much what we're here for. The most unique of the spells is definitely Quinn. There's two types. There's one where you hold to cast, and there's one that lasts a few hits after casting it before going away. but you'll definitely be able to tell which one you're using based on the force field around your character. Erden is a little different from the Witcher games. This version allows for a trap to be placed that instantly starts attacking enemies once they step within its range, instead of the usual slow and debuff. But the most useful of these is Axii, which basically mind controls NPCs for a short while, making the NPC fight for you, and it also makes persuasion much easier. And you'll be able to tell if it worked based on NPC not attacking you and the glow around their head. But just because the glow goes away doesn't mean it stopped working, it just means the glow went away. And that was pretty much it for today, guys. I wanted to keep this one simple and just find some mods that I found interesting that are available on console that I didn't think were available. There's a few more that I want to review that I will be coming back to next time. But as of right now, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace and love, guys.